Hello everybody, Gerone Wright here, and once again you're joining me on my Gerone Wright YouTube channel here on YouTube. In this video, I want to be making a good video about some reality as to why the Mount Rushmore heads, presidential heads, were created. And if you go back and look back in history at the people that came up with the idea of creating these heads, the people that the artists or the carver, the sculptor that made these heads, you will realize that these heads being created seemingly was more to do about being a commemoration of not deceased foregone presidents, but also about the commemoration of the guy, John Wilkes Booth, that killed Lincoln. There's an honor to that man that killed Lincoln in this in these head carvings, in these monumental head carvings. I'm going to get right to the points because I don't want to lose none of my train of thought here. In my last video I just did of where they were talking about President Obama and about the assassination of President Obama, and I went right here. Google presidential heads or Mount Rushmore. You would notice that we all know that Abraham Lincoln was killed with the derringer weapon, 18th century derringer. The man that made these carvings, okay, his name was Gutzman Berglund. He was the highest ranking Klu Klux Klan member during that time. He was so high in ranking that he was the one that actually assigned or swore in or selected Grand Wizards, which was supposed to be, the Grand Wizard was supposed to be the it man in the communities for being of that of the Klu Klux Klan. But this Belgian guy who actually went on to become a sculptor who sculpted these carvings, this Belgian character is the one that used to select Grand Wizards into that. Now, these people, Klu Klux Klan, this is something that is bred into you, into your blood. There is no getting out of that. Belgium would go on to carve the heads of 4 presidents that stood against everything opposite of what Belgium stood for. Lincoln, the freeing of slaves and his abolishments towards slavery. The same thing with Roosevelt. The same, his feelings almost mirrored that of Lincoln's. Thomas Jefferson, although that he did not, he believed in white supremacy, he allowed for blacks to, for Booker, the spokesperson for black folks back then, he was a scholar, Booker, allowed him to come into the White House and advise him on race relations in the White House, and afterwards invited him to dinner. And this came at a time when race relations in the South and all in the early 90s, when it was still considered to be vile for blacks to sit down and whites to eat together. So there was an outbreak, an outcry about all of this. And I mean, Jefferson never invited Booker back after that, even though they went on to have discussions afterwards on the phone. But even though Thomas Jefferson believed in white supremacy, Thomas Jefferson allowed for outside his opinion. He did not let that affect his opinion towards black peoples and allowing them to give him advice. And this what made his head to become on the monuments. I'll get into that later. George Washington, although he owned slaves, his number 1 slave, he spent more time with his with his slave more than any other man in the world, or any other man in his life throughout his entire life. His slave, it was side by side with him. And in fact, when George Washington died, he left messages for his wife in his will for his wife to free his slaves after she was dead. However, she freed them 1 year after. So all of his slaves got freed, and that sent a message, an ill message to the Ku Klux Klan. So all of these heads up here goes against the ideology and the principles of the man that carved these heads. Do you get this message, people? Look at this. A racist, a Klu Klux Klan member that hate niggers, so to speak, or hate the idea of niggers being freed from slavery, and hate the idea of nigger lovers, so-called carved the heads of all of these people that had an affiliation, a positive affiliation, with black folks during that time. So this is a direct conflictation, a conflict of interest for this man to even be carving these heads. Now, but it gets better than that. Here, we know that Lincoln was shot with the derringer pistol. Look at Lincoln's head. This guy put the derringer that Lincoln was shot in the head with, encrypted it right here in his head, in his hair, in his hairline, right there. I have a closer up picture. Let me bring it in on my book. That's a derringer in the hairline of Lincoln. That's the derringer. If you Google the derringer, it's an artifact. If you go and Google the image of the derringer, it is identically matched to this. If you were to lay a derringer on that there, it's exact the same. This is where the hand goes in for the trigger mechanism. Here's the butt. Here's the barrel. The derringer is right here, encoded in the hair. All right, that's established. Something else about this that must be realized. Notice that Lincoln's head is seemingly in what I thought was a mausoleum. That's what it looks to be, into a mausoleum, carved into a mausoleum, which would be okay. I mean, you would say, well, okay, well, Jerome, that's a mausoleum. The man is dead. Maybe they wanted to have him enshrined in a mausoleum. There are stairways here also. Right here, coming up the side, there's a stairwell piece right here, right there. You know what it dawned on me now? It's like the dead is speaking to me. When I look at these images and I want to understand it, the information comes to me. And it all makes sense to what I'm about ready to tell you. The derringer on top of his head, Lincoln was killed. Lincoln was killed in a booth in a theater. This is a theater box around Lincoln. A theater box with the steps that goes up, and then there's the gun. Now check this out. It's a motion picture, people. This is what's going to blow you away. This is a motion picture. It's a reenactment of the assassination of Lincoln. It has Lincoln's head in the booth where he was seated. Here's the steps that go up to it. There's the gun that's laying on top of his head right there in his hair. And the man that was holding the gun, shooting the gun, John Booth. Come, let's go to Theodore Roosevelt. Theodore Roosevelt's hair creates the arm and the hand and the trigger finger of John Booth, reaching for the gun to assassinate Lincoln. Let me come in closer with that for you. Let me make sure. This is the only thing about holding this thing backwards like this. I don't know if you can see this. Can you see? Oh, you know what? There's a reflection on this. That's why you can't. You might not be able to see that too good. I'm gonna come in up here. Let me go here. Look. I'll do it here. There's the wrist. There's the hand. There's the trigger finger. Google the image of Mount Rushmore. Depending on the way that you're looking at it, you can see that the hair creates a trigger finger. The whole hairline, his whole hair piece in the front is a hand, and his clothing right there. Now, he's reaching for the gun. This is a reenactment of the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. Booth reaching over for the gun, assassinating Lincoln. While he's sitting in the booth, in the theater booth. Now check this out. You look here at Jefferson. Now here's the, by the way, here's the hand, the trigger fingers, the fingers, all of that is right there. There's the clothing, and then here's what appears to be the sleeve, an elongated sleeve. You know how the judges wear their robe and the gowns and it's all big? Like a Klu Klux Klan outfit, right here. The sleeve under the arm, and there's a shadowy figure, a Klu Klux Klan person with his cap on. With his cap on, right here. Here's his cap around the temple of Thomas Jefferson, right there. So you have a figure, a ghostly-like figure, encoded right here. Here's the chin, there's the mouth, there's the nose, there's the eye, there's his Klu Klux Klan's cap in the hair. Here's his Klu Klux Klan robe right here, and his hand is reaching over with the trigger finger like that for the gun that's in Lincoln's hair. Now I want to show you something else. Now what do Washington has to do with this? Look here at Washington, right here. This is not no normal hairline for no person. You know what this is? It's a mouth, lips. Lips of a black person, if you look closely at them, the way the lips are created. You know what this is stating? That beginning with Washington is showing you blacks and black lovers, nigger lovers. This is what they're saying. And they're saying death to nigger lovers. That's what this message is stating. Look right here. There's some lips. Everything about the lips right there. Okay? Depending on the way, the resolution that you get, I mean, the image that you get. Is this, let me see if I can get this to come over some. Let me unplug that and come over a little bit more. Now can I come in closer? Let me come in closer. Depending on the angle and the image that you pick, these are lips. There's a little chin-like area, there's the bottom lip, and this is the top lip. This is a mouth. And George Washington would-be hair is covering over the face of a black man, stating that George Washington and the rest of the nigger lovers, death to them all by the Klu Klux Klan. And here's the Klansman right here with his cap and robe and his arm sticking out over top of his, the body, the head is conjoined with Thomas Jefferson. There's the face. Here's the robe reaching over for the gun. Oh gosh, I'm going too far over, and all right, let me go back to the mouth, because all right, there's the mouth right there. Okay, there's the mouth, meaning niggers, nigger lovers. All right, sorry to use that word, people, but there's no other way to state it to get my message across. Okay, so we just have to live with that. Here's the lips, signifying, beginning with Washington, these men are all nigger lovers, showing a black man's mouth right there and his hair encoded off to the side. Klan steps in, says, you know what, enough is enough. Here's the Klan. Here's the hood encoded in Thomas Jefferson's hair. There's the face, the ghost-like face of the Klansman right there with his face disguised. Here's the sleeves, the hood of the sleeve of the Klansman, the robe coming down off on the side of Jefferson. The Klansman hand reaches over, and the hand is right here, and the trigger figure is shown reaching for the gun. It's reaching for that gun that killed Lincoln. Okay? There's the wrist. Look at the hand. All of the features of the hand, even the tendons, all of the tendons and stuff in your hand that shows in your hand. You see my tendons there? Those tendons and everything on my hand. See that? This is what is here, right there, with Theodore Roosevelt, right there in his hairline. It's a hand with a trigger finger. Now, what's amazing about this, and what's scary about all of this, is that there's an image online with John Booth, an 18th century image of John Booth. And where is that image? Because I had it here. And John Booth's hand, here it is here. John Booth is holding a stick of some sort right there. You see that? That stick right there? John Booth's fingers in holding that stick right there in his hand is identically matched to the way they encrypted their hand and that of the head of Theodore Roosevelt. So they're stating that this is the hand of John Booth killing Abraham Lincoln. And this is what this is. This is a commemorating memorial dedicated not to four deceased presidents, but to the man that calls for the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, John Wilkes Booth. Again, the steps that leads up to the theater booth where Lincoln was sitting. Here's the steps. This here, which looks like a mausoleum that has his face encased. This is the booth that he sat in, the theater booth that he sat in, right there. Here's the gun in his hair that shot him, that killed him. There is the hand that he was shot by, that he was killed by, right there, encoded in the head of Theodore Roosevelt. There's the hand for the gun. Here's the arm. And here's the people that's responsible for killing him. The Klu Klux Klan, through the arm of John Wilkes Booth. This hand is identical. If you Google John Wilkes Booth, I guarantee you that you will find that trigger finger in that hand is identically matching how Wilkes is similarly holding that stick right there. In this image, when you Google this Wikipedia image for John Wilkes Booth. Klu Klux Klan. Right there. Now, there's a shadowy image. I don't know if you can actually see it on, probably not here in the book. I can almost draw it out for you. But now that I'm telling you, no, you won't be able to see it there. But here, there's a chin, there's a mouth, there's a nose, and here's an eye. There's a shadowy figure right there in the side, in the head of, right on the side of the head of Thomas Jefferson. Another being there. It's a Klu Klux Klan person. There's his cap. Here's his robe. It stops here. It comes off almost like a judge's robe there. The arm is coming out of the robe here, the forearm, to the hand. The hand is bare. And there's the trigger finger. And then the gun that he reached to kill this president. I'm going to leave you with that, but let me see. I have some notes written down here. I might as well use some of the notes. How much time do I have here? Okay, we got plenty of time. So let me tell you a little bit. I thought I was going to be able to use my book because it actually has better, but I get a back reflection because it's a gloss, so I can't actually use that here. Okay. In 1901, Roosevelt invited. Well, this was Roosevelt that invited. I said Thomas Jefferson invited that to the White House. No, it was Thomas Jefferson. Hold on. Roosevelt was the one that was, you know what? I got that backwards because Roosevelt was the one that invited Booker to the prominent black educator and spokesperson Booker to the White House. I'm sorry. I said that it was Jefferson that did that. Roosevelt was the one that actually did that. I apologize for that. Roosevelt was the guy. And I said that in the other video as well, too. But it was Roosevelt who invited prominent black educator spokesperson Booker to Washington, to the White House to advise the president. Following a successful exchange of ideas, Roosevelt asked Washington to dine with him. The meeting was widely reported and caused an uproar in the South, where many whites still believed that it was inappropriate for whites and blacks to mingle socially. All right, blacks, however, gave Roosevelt high marks for his actions and being subject to criticism. Roosevelt views. He was clearly a believer in Anglo-Saxon superiority, but not to the extent that he prevented him from seeking advice from outside races. So that was Roosevelt. I mixed the story up, people. I'm sorry about that. All right. Yeah. Oh gosh. I might have to change that in my other post too. What else was there? People, I guess that's just about it. Theodore. Oh, Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was the one. Jefferson actually drafted and signed into law a bill that banned slavery importation into the United States. Jefferson expressed opposition to slavery throughout his life. That was Jefferson that actually opposed slavery. So that was actually Jefferson and Lincoln. So that's where we're at with that. And let me see where we're going. Let me see if I got any more before I actually close this out. I guess that's probably pretty much it there, people. And we all know about the other presidents. You check up on them. My point is about all of this, even though I mixed the messages up between these two presidents, my point about all of this is that it is really, really odd, suspicious, more than I guess you have to say that you can't imagine that this being more. It has to be more than a coincidence that a member, the highest member, ranking member of the Klu Klux Klan, I mean above the Grand Wizards, he's the one that actually selects the Grand Wizards and say, okay, yeah, okay, you're okay to be a Grand Wizard. I approve you to be a Grand Wizard. This man was the highest of the highest. You're talking about like a popo figure among the daggone Klu Klux Klan. He's the one that carved these monuments. And then when he passed away, his son continued to carve. So you have that going, having that being said, now you have Lincoln, the whole reenactment of Lincoln over here in the booth where he sat in the theater, the steps leading up to the theater. Oh, there's something else about this too. The pistol that shot him. It's a rare type of pistol, and it's here in his hair. His hair is configured to look like that derringer that calls for the ending of his life. And another thing that I would like to point out is that the beard, his beard, actually looks like brain matter. That's what I meant. That's the next thing. The carving in his beard looks like brain matter. When his brains was blown out, the beard looks like his brain matter. That's what that next thing I'm going to put. But this is a booth that he sat in, the stairways leading to the booth, the gun that calls for his death, and the man being assassinated. Then you have everything else that I've said over here about the reaching for the gun right here. Here's the hand. The hand is reaching over with a trigger finger. Okay, right there. The finger's hanging over the forehead of Theodore Roosevelt for the gun to pull the trigger on Lincoln. Here's the sleeve. If it was, you can imagine it. There's the shirt. You can see everything in description carved into his hair. Here's the shirt sleeve here, and then there's the shirt sleeve turns into the robe sleeve there. There's the robe sleeve, and then there's the Klan face here. There's the Klan person here. Here's the Klan member's eye. It's a ghostly image of a Klan person. There's the nose. There's the mouth. There's the chin. There's the underlay of the robe from underneath the neck of that. And here's the cap going over the head of Thomas Jefferson, the Klan, right there. A Klan man. Let's go there again. Chin, mouth, nose, eye, sleeve. Here's a Klan person right there. The Klan, right here. A Klanman, a Klansman depicted right here with them. A Klansman, people, in the picture. This is a Klan. This is a person in a Klan's uniform right here. A Klansman right here. The face, everything. A Klansman right there. Then you have the black lips. Now here's the other thing that I wanted to tell you about those black lips. You see those black lips right here on Washington? I swear to you, right here, if you look around Washington's neck, right here, what appears to be a noose, a rope, going around by those black lips, meaning that nigger lovers, blacks gets the noose around the neck, and there's the lips right there. You see that? Now, imagine that people that was affiliated. That's another thing that's shocking about all of this too, that I find, is that the people that, there was no mention of no hate group or anything of that nature when President Lincoln was killed. Another thing that I found out is that Booth, when he was running out of there, he stated something, and I don't have it here. He stated something, and I looked the word up. Oh, when he jumped down from the booth where he shot Abraham Lincoln, he shouted "Sic semper tyrants or tyrannus, sic semper tyrannus." Now, this is a stating that he actually stated, that he called out a call. And this was almost like when you have Muslims when they do something, when they say Allah is great at the end when they kill someone. This is the same thing that this Booth character did. He said "Sic semper tyrannus." You know what I mean? And it's just like the way the Muslims do the Allah is great before they cause a catastrophic event. My thing is that it's crazy because in the Oklahoma City bombings, Timothy McVeigh had a t-shirt on that said the same exact thing. Now, my problem with all of this is that none of this is mentioning anything or linking to, or nobody's delving into, going into and looking into this being anything dealing with white supremacy. Now, with Timothy McVeigh, he kept talking about there being an ex-person, or somebody else that was there saying that there was somebody else, an ex-person. There was somebody else involved, this ex-person. I believe that this ex-person, this mysterious black ex-person that everybody keeps talking about, is the Klu Klux Klan. Now, this is how you know that the Klu Klux Klan was involved in the assassination of Lincoln. Because here is the Klan member right here. The Klan member has the Klan garb, and he has his hand of that of John Wilkes Booth in the assassination of Lincoln. So this is what's telling you that behind the scenes, the cause for these deaths are the Ku Klux Klan. That's what I'm driving at. I'm going to leave this video with that. I think that I touched base on everything. I'll do some more drawings and go from there. I'm gonna put some more in writing, and I'll do some drawings. I'll put some more up on my Facebook page, on my Google Plus page. But this memorial, which was created by a Ku Klux Klan man that was hired and a grand wizard, you must know that everything that I'm stating here is dead on, is spot on. This is what this was all about to begin with. These people are telling you that this is not a monument but it's for them. This is what this is. This artist, and it's amazing because you have an artist just revealed just recently that that when he did the painting of Bill Clinton, the President Bill Clinton, that he included in the painting the dress of Monica Lewinsky, the famous dress of Monica Lewinsky. These artists that create their paintings. And that was just in the news a few weeks ago. These artists, these sculptors that have their own personal agendas, what better way for them to take out their sickness and their sick-minded and twisted views and post them into their work in a hidden way based on the way they feel about a country, their hate for people in a country, or their hate for presidencies in a way. What better way than to assassinate the character of these people than to say, you know what, we're the cause for you dying, and then post it in a billboard. Now, everywhere that you go, if you Google online presidential heads, you will see subliminal messages where there are things posted around here. And there are message boards. They use this for a message board. Hidden messages, in other words. And you'll be like, well, why did they put that there? Why did they put that there? Understanding that some people, you must understand that some people know the hidden message behind this. So they take an opportunity and moment to post something online that'll show you a message. Like they'll make this a black face, or they'll do something that you'd be like, well, why is that there? Why? Maybe because he freed slaves or something like that. But no, it goes much deeper rooted than that. They are telling you that this is a reenactment of the assassination of President Lincoln. This is telling you why he was killed. He was a nigger lover. And there's the gun. There's the booth that he was in. Okay, here, which looks like a mausoleum. And then there's the hand reaching for the gun that calls for his death. And then there's the Klan member, which I'm actually going to draw out and put on my Facebook page. My name is Gerone Wright. I'm going to end this video here.